Good evening, everyone. It must be good afternoon back home in India. I know it's a very odd timing to go live, but I thought I'll get this out as quick as possible given the importance of this news. Most of all of you must already know what has happened, what has transpired this morning. Argentina versus Brazil, all important qualifier was suspended, and we are going to discuss some important topics. Uh, I divided these into certain sections. First, we'll discuss what and why. Second, what happened aftermath. Third, the hypocrisy on the part of Brazilians, and the entire aftermath. So first things, what and why? Why was the match suspended? Around 5 minutes or after the kickoff, as you must have as you guys must have seen, official few officials from two agencies, Brazilian Health and which is commonly known as Anvisa, and Federal Police. These two officials from these two police intruded the pitch, almost had a scuffle with Nicolas Otamendi and Marcos Acuna before the coaching staff from both the teams intervened and tried to calm the situation down. Now, what was their purpose? Why were they? Why were they there in the stadium? Now, according to the official statements given by Anvisa or Brazilian health authorities, our English contingent of players, two boys from Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur. Now, they were supposed to go into quarantine as per Brazil's regulations. So, on January of this year, Brazil put out a regulation. I mean, their list of red countries. I mean, if anyone is coming from these countries, they'll have to go through further procedural checks and quarantine themselves. Now, these countries include UK, South Africa, and India, and probably one other. But these are the three main countries that I know that have been listed. Now, anyone coming from these three countries need to put themselves in a 14-day quarantine, which is quite conventional with the most of the world which is following. Now, their argument is they didn't declare that they were coming from UK, and so that's why they apparently lied on the forms, on the so-called immigration forms, and they were not supposed to play the match, but they were supposed to quarantine themselves. That is the whole argument fr- from the Brazilian health authorities. Now, let me tell you guys, CBF, Brazilian Football Federation, has officially distanced themselves from this whole fiasco. They said that this is not our doing. We have nothing to do with it. Whatever is happening, the sole authority rests with Anvisa. Now, what happened aftermath? Now, when the things calmed down, when our players returned to the dressing room, match referee officially communicated that the match has been officially suspended. Uh, Messi and a few important players from Brazil's side were talking to the officials on probably what could have been done. Uh, now, we can only speculate what they were talking about, but that is not important here. Now, the important part here is Brazilian officials wanted to detain the four players: Emiliano Martinez, Emiliano Bundia, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Christian Romero. Four of our most important players. I mean, if Bundia, if you see how you see it. Now, they wanted to detain them instead of deporting them. Thankfully, Argentine ambassador to Brazil, Mr. Scioli, was present at the stadium. He was there to watch the match, and he intervened. He laid out the terms that if the match doesn't go ahead, and Argentina are to leave the country, they will not detain the four of our players. If needed, they will be deported. Thankfully, his intervention solved the issue, and Argentine players were able to leave the country without any further harassment. They had to fill out some more important forms, but that is quite. Just a second. Yeah. Now, thankfully, they were not detained. They were on. They were with the rest of the players, with the team on their way back home to Argentina. Uh, Now, the third part, the hypocrisy of the Brazilian side, whether it is authorities, whether it is the CBF or whoever you want to blame. Now, like I said, this mandate was proposed back in January and implemented in May of this year. Now, two things to look here. In May qualifiers, when Liverpool players Firmino and Allison uh, came from UK and they played Ecuador at Porto Alegre for the qualifiers. Now, Brazilian authorities gave them a carte blanche. What I mean here is now, now given that condition of the quarantine, what they said was if the players restrict themselves to a secure bio bubble, they won't be they will be allowed to play the match. Now, unfortunately, why they didn't extend the same courtesy to Argentina now is anyone's beyond their guess. This is pure politics. If you look at important Twitter handles such as Juan Arango, they said that this is pure politics. Now, because of these rules, nine important Brazilian players couldn't make it to the team. They were very much playing with the B side. Most of our Argentina fans were quite confident that this was probably the day where we could have seen a genuine thrashing of Brazil. Now, of course, each person's view is quite different, but if you look at if you look at from the perspective of from player to player, we were definitely the stronger side. We had everyone. Thanks to dedication of our players, they defied their local leagues and came to represent their country. And the second case of hypocrisy is Willian. As you all know, Willian, the ex Arsenal player, terminated his contract mutually with Arsenal and he signed with Corinthians. Now, he obviously too is coming from UK, but he had no issues of quarantining himself. He apparently he even joined the training sessions of the first team of Corinthians team. Now you can see the hypocrisy and for what possible reasons Brazilians did all this charade and shame themselves in front of the entire world is absolutely shocking. Now, what happens aftermath? Now, like I said previously, CBF solely puts the blame on Anvisa. Now, second question that everybody is asking is who gets a point. Now, this is quite tricky. Now, as soon as the match was suspended, official Twitter handles of CONMEBOL put up few tweets saying that CBF, Brazilian Football Federation, needed to abide by the law and they needed to allow the four Argentine players in question to play. Otherwise, they will be docked points. Few minutes or a few hours later, a FIFA delegation which was present at the stadium said that CONMEBOL would have no saying in this issue. Since this is an official FIFA match, the case will be referred to FIFA disciplinary committee. Now, now this is the process, the way it goes. Match commissioner will submit an official report to FIFA disciplinary committee, and the disciplinary committee will read and decide uh, what kind of action they can take. Now, hypothetically speaking, should they decide to dock the points of Brazil, what the Brazilian Football Federation could do is they could take the case to Court of Arbitration of Sport. Now, most of you must have heard this name, CAS. When any time there is an issue with sport, Court of Arbitration of Court is the sport is the highest governing body when it comes to sport. Whatever sentence they hand will be final. Now for this entire process to take place, it would take as much as 1 year, according to Vero Brunati. She said that by the time this whole thing is decided, the qualifiers will be done and dusted, and our place is virtually guaranteed unless we do something very disastrous. So it will have little relevance on the output, and that's the whole thing. Please let me know what do you guys think of this whole charade by Brazil, and uh, you guys must have seen the photo of Acuna and Otamendi conflicting with the official. Now that official is not from Brazilian health authority, but he was actually part of federal police. He was actually carrying a firearm. Argentine news outlets put this up. Now these guys are international players who represent their country. There is absolutely no reason for them to bring firearms and try to force Argentina players off the pitch. They are not petty criminals or thugs. I'm pretty sure they would listen to their coaching staff, and things would have been resolved. For what possible reasons they decided to take this drastic measure, they can only they can explain themselves. Now, after all this, Brazil's president or prime minister son Bolsonaro put up saying that this was all Argentines' play, since they didn't want to since we didn't want to play, and we didn't want to embarrass themselves. We decided to play this charade and embarrass us ourselves in front of the whole world. This is absolute hawkshit, with all due respect. And he also went on to say typical things which are associated with the banter of Argentina and Brazil's, like Pele is better than Maradona. Brazil have 5 World Cups, etc., etc. But no one's heeding to his rant on Twitter. Uh, now, yeah. Now AFA made a deal with Aston Villa, in order to release our players from the leagues, and so that they could play in the World Cup qualifiers. The deal was that after the Brazil game, they would return to England to play so that they would have the proper interval, and they could join their first team training sessions and be match fit for for the next match. Now they have got now Emiliano Buendia are apparently on their way to Croatia. They won't take any part um, in Bolivia's game. So I guess Franco Armani or Juan Musso will deputize in place of Emiliano Martinez. So let me know what you guys think of this. This is literally the history. What we saw today was history in making. Absolute scandal, which none of us of sports fan deserved. We deserve to enjoy the beautiful football match of Brazil and Argentina. But we look forward to our next match, which is versus Bolivia on Friday. Very well. Thank you for joining. Vamos, Argentina.